Okay, so number 6 is, did you have to change the way you cook food for Danica? Cooking a different dish, or like, I got the same food as everyone else, stuff like that.
No, we did not. We, as far as cooking, you know, when you're a type 1 diabetic, I mean, the doctor just told us that it was the carb counting that was absolutely the most important part. So I learned a whole heck of a lot about how to count, how to figure out what the carbs were from like packages, to make sure you looked at the serving size and the carbs and the fiber.
Yeah.
And subtracted the fiber from the carbs and like, all that kind of stuff. And we got really good at, and you're better than I am now, at looking at a plate of food at a restaurant and, you know, kind of estimating how much more carbs were in that. So we did not change the way we cooked or fed. Yeah, meals and everything was the same. I think the only thing that changed was figuring out and going to the store and looking at all the snacks that were there, because snacks are a big part of when a kid is a diabetic, and trying to pick out the ones that had about 15 carbs in them for a choice back then. We always kept those on hand, so there's like a box in our pantry.
Still. Even though I'm not on a meal plan anymore.
Snacks. So she could grab it when she was low or when it was snack time. So. And then, actually, I think Danica has a brother, and so we told him that he couldn't just go raid it anytime. You know, Danica was allowed 3 snacks a day, and so her brother was only allowed 3 snacks a day, so that it was easier to maintain it between the 2 kids. It's not very fun when you're diabetic to watch your brother just go there.
Yeah. When I was on a meal plan, like I could only have snacks at certain times, and so it was nice that Paul didn't get to have like as many as he wanted when I could only have one at like 3 o'clock. Like, so that really helped me out. Number 7, I wake up every 2 hours to check my daughter's BG. She can change so quickly. I have the hardest time keeping her steady at night. Do the nighttime BGs ever stabilize? And someone else asked, do you still test in the middle of the night?
Oh, that's a really good question. Because nights, I always got a kick out of people. We'd be like, oh yeah, we were up all night checking, and it was a hard night. And they'd go, oh, you know, are nights hard? No, her diabetes just disappears when I put her to bed, and then it just reappears in the morning. You know, no. That was the fun. I thought that was actually the funniest thing. It's like, nights are the hardest. I thought, you know, because everybody's tired and you're tired. So, our doctor, and you know, each diabetic actually is so different. Like each diabetic, and depending, you know, if they're female or male in this case. I think the question was, said the daughter, right? So that actually does not surprise me that, you know, it's a female. And, you know, it just depends too on how to stabilize it, if they're in sports, if they're active, if they're not active, if, you know, what time hormonally they're going through, if they're sick, you know, what they're feeling, if they're excited, you know, it's their birthday tomorrow. You know, everything affects BG. So that was actually, I think, one of the hardest parts. Fortunately, in our family, Danica's dad worked during the night. So when he got home, he would check her. So we actually did end up checking her every night. And
for a long time.
Yeah. And I actually heard of one mom of a type 1 who had an extremely active son who was all over the place, and they would check him at 11 p.m. and then also at 2 a.m. And so I think nights are just hard because what you got to do before he or she goes to bed is to, you know, kind of recount the day. You know, did they play a basketball game today? You know, were they super active today? Did they, you know, sit on the bus all day today going back and forth? You know, where exactly they are, because everything affects it. You know, did they eat pizza before, you know, was dinner pizza? You know, is there a big test tomorrow? You know, everything. I think we got really good at recounting the day and kind of looking at it where we were. And I think that's why they call diabetes management so much an art, because you are the expert on your child. It's you who are the expert, and you know your child better than anyone else. You know, you live with them, you're with them all the time, and so looking at where they are in their day, if you can kind of hone those skills of perception of what's going on during that day, you do a little better at night then, because you start to figure it out when you check them, and they're 63 in the middle of the night, and you think I did the best I could, and then looking back, oh, all right, it was actually a double day practice. She practiced soccer in the morning and in the afternoon. It's not, she's usually after practice, lower than she usually is or he or she, for 6 hours. So she's still at that 6 hours mark, at 1 a.m. So I think through that, honestly, through trial and error, knowing my own, and since each diabetic is so unique unto themselves, I learned how to kind of read what was going on, and I had less trouble during the night. Diabetes is an hour by hour proposition. It is. I mean, it's an hour by hour thing. But I think the better you get at kind of knowing things that affect their blood sugar, I really think that just will really help you during that. And believe me, I feel for you. We've unexplained lows, unexplained highs, especially during the night. It's hard. So yeah.
And I do not still test in the middle of the night, not every night. If I've been consistently low, like at the same time every night, and I change my basal, then I'll set an alarm to wake up and check, just because I want to make sure that I don't miss it. Like one night I was 29 in the middle of the night for no reason. So the next night I was I'm setting an alarm for an hour before that to make sure I don't do that again. So very rarely I'll set an alarm to check still. All right, so number 8, 3 people asked very similar questions, so I'm kind of just going to make a broad sweep of it. Basically, it's asking, when did you let go and let me take on all my responsibilities as a diabetic, and how did you stop yourself from always wondering what I am, blood sugar wise, and checking in on me and being the diabetes police?
Oh my
How did you
gosh.
kind of back off and let me do it, and when did you do that?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
Because the same process that I used to move into the diabetes world and, watch it hour by hour, I couldn't do the same thing. I couldn't, work really hard and check a lot and try to figure it out. And so moving into the diabetes world, you have to educate yourself. You're always on guard. It's you change your life, you get a brand new baby about home, your diabetes baby. So I couldn't use the same skills that I had used to jump into the diabetes world to jump out of the diabetes world. I will say that we actually had a program that we used through our local diabetes camps that actually I can't transitions. Yeah. That taught us kind of timing and some tools and skills to help. So they said to start in the junior year of high school, and we would just go to these fun events and they'd teach us and have a panel, and that's kind of when you start to let go as your child heads towards college. So they actually taught us, get ready now, junior year of high school. And then little by little, you need to hand off those responsibilities. And then they need to be completely independent of your management 6 months before they leave for college. So we followed that program. That was a great program. It was a program. It wasn't I don't think there's a program set up. I just think they were, really just kind of giving us advice. And indeed we did. You were completely independent 6 months before you left for college, except for ordering insulin. But you figured that out. So.
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory.
You did. But as far as my side and me letting go, gosh, because you think about it, as far as me, I thought about it hundreds of times during the day, and a lot of times waking up during the night. So as far as letting go, I think for me, in my personal experience, seeing that she was actually getting better at it than I was now, because we'd always talk about it. A part of letting go, of course, is kind of sharing management. Oh, okay, I see that you had basketball practice. I see that you had this. What do you think? You think correction? I don't know why you're 250. Do you think correction is this? No, I think correction needs to be this because of, just talking back and forth about, what, if she's high or anything. The whole management was talking back and forth. And when her decisions that she would say, no, I think I'm going to do this, would try to be better than mine, I was like, booyah. She knows herself. And as they get older and more able to be more independent, they have those skills and can use them. So for me, in my personal experience, it was seeing that she was better at it than I was. But as far as in my mind, letting it go, personally, and I can't speak to anybody else's experience, I used a little success tool that I'd learned, but I kind of made it personal to myself. Every time I thought about, okay, did she think about the fact that, that she basketball practice was a half an hour longer? Did she think about that fact? Did she factor that in? Is she figuring out that needs to, affect, whatever. For myself personally, instead of, I would kind of stop the thought. I'd have the thought, realize I was having the thought, that I'd handed it over and that it was hers, and then I would just say a little prayer for her. So, I mean, it started out like really hard because it's like 200 times a day. She's handling it. Please God help her. I hope that's not too corny. But then as the days went on and on, it's less and less. And I'd be just like, God, please watch over my daughter. So personally, and I think you can use that even if you do not believe in God or that part of religion is not a part of your life. But as far as that goes, I personalize that to my own personal self. So that's just a success tool that I learned actually for business. And when a thought comes up, you identify the thought and then you choose a reaction to it. So if the thought came up, gee, I wonder if he or she has thought of, point A, point B, point C, you can stop it and think, we work together to get her or she or he to a place where they can actually manage their own diabetes. And we worked hard and I have faith in her or him and time to think about something else. So it's just a success tool. It did take me a long time. I'm in a good place now and I'm super proud, of course, of this amazing woman sitting next to me who takes such good care of herself.
And then also for younger kids, like you said, 6 months before I went to college, I had everything. But before that, like gradually, I started checking my blood sugar on my own, and like basically when they're ready, like
right,
you can kind of tell when someone's ready to do it. Like if they're like, "Mom, stop checking my blood sugar," like maybe they should do it. So just for younger kids.
Exactly, you're right. Especially when they're doing, if they say they're ready to check and they are checking, great, move on. It's hard because when kids are growing up, because you try to evaluate and see what kind of level they're at, and sometimes you're wrong. Sometimes you got to pull back and take it back, and just make sure you're working together. Let them know that it's you and that person. I mean, this is a person who deserves respect, who can think for herself, who wants to help herself, and that's how I always approach it with you, because you deserve my respect, and you deserve to be treated with respect. That's like my parenting style, I guess, because I was raised that way. But at the same time, it's just true of everybody. Each person deserves respect.